country. The Republic of South Africa is founded on constitutionalism and the rule of law, and not on the continued presidency of Cyril Ramaphosa. And the Constitution and the rule of law must not be doubted and disrespected simply because a favorite of the establishment has now been found to have broken the law. Cyril Ramaphosa has violated his oath of office and the Constitution of South Independent Panel on Judicial Review. And as the EFF, we view this move as a disparate and a further disrespect of South African people and the Constitution. It reveals that Ramaphosa is arrogant in his criminality because he's the one who has conceded to breaching the laws of this country to the relevant law enforcement agencies. The EFF reiterates the view of the independent panel, which illustrates that the evidence of Cyril Ramaphosa regarding Phala farm must be approached with caution. And this is logical because he has a propensity of lying and misleading investigative agencies. The EFF will thoroughly expose Ramaphosa in this country and violates the laws in order to enrich himself. The EFF, along with the majority of opposition parties, calls for the following ahead of the parliamentary sitting of Parliament on the 6th of December. Parliament must be physically convened to vote for the impeachment process to commence. When we convene on the 6th, lock up members of Parliament in private venues that are not protected and secure for Parliament and all its members. Political parties and all members of Parliament must vote for the impeachment process to commence because not doing so is not sensible and will not pass the rationality test. Voting against Section 89 in the previous rulings of the Constitutional Court have condemned Parliament's lack of oversight and vigilance over the executive. The EFF, along with the opposition parties, has resolved that in addition to the Section 89 impeachment process, will request the Democratic Alliance, the official leader of the opposition, to table a motion of no confidence against Mr. Ramaphosa on the basis of the premise, which is the second largest political party in Parliament, is unable to table a motion of no confidence. The Economic Freedom Fighters, which is the third largest political party in Parliament, will table the motion of no confidence against Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa before the sitting of the National Assembly on the 6th of December 2022. The EFF will explore legal avenues to compel the Office of Acting Public Protector at and in relation to Phala farm. The above process is the only way in which appropriate accountability will be achieved and sanctity of the Constitution of this country will be preserved. The EFF is concerned by the high levels of crime confronting the South African society, as well as the over 7,000 murders in South Africa between July and September 2022. A statistic that reveals that the country is in a state of war. As such, there needs to be a purposeful change in the leadership of the South African police services if the scourge of crime is to be dealt with decisively. The EFF is further concerned by the continued plague of gender of rape, abuse and murder even in their own homes. The EFF maintains that there needs to be specialized courts for GBV cases and a review of how police stations and police handle matters of gender-based violence. Too often, our police stations turn away victims of GBV and attempt to mediate abusive situations at the expense of victims. The EFF has noted the high level of unemployment in South Africa, which are made worse by an economy which is crippling the ability of our people to afford basic means of survival. The people of South Africa live and work to survive, and their income only goes towards their transportation. African people will continue because this government has a naive dependency on the private sector to create jobs, while the only objective of the private sector is to accumulate profit. The conditions of state-owned enterprises which are being auctioned off by the current government is worrying. South Africa has become a country of darkness as NEL, SAA, PRASA, Eskom, Transnet, the South African Post Office are all in a state of financial and operational collapse because those who are leading this country have no desire for this country's sovereignty and independence. The removal of the ANC from government has become urgent because the route it has taken. Furthermore, the EFF maintains that if there is to be any progress made to build the South African economy, there must be a meaningful transformation of the financial and the banking sector. As things stand, the banks of South Africa are part and parcel of the massive tax evasion, money laundering, another avenue to fight political battles, and those opposed to the establishment are punished by having their bank accounts closed due to their political views. There is an urgent need to transform this sector, and at the center of this is the nationalization of the South African Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank sits at the center of the economic misery confronting our people and must have its mandate to back the sellout and anti-revolutionary decision to release the killer of Krisani, Jalusi Walus. Jalusi Walus took South Africa to the brink of a civil war on the eve of democracy and has left a gaping wound on the progress of our society by killing a man who was dedicated to the liberation of African people. The pain Walus caused for generations. It is for this reason that his release must be opposed by all people who appreciate the sacrifice made for our freedom. The EFF will explore means possible to ensure that Walus rots in jail, because the confidence and audacity of white supremacy days of Walus is indicative of a need to further transform the judiciary and make it responsive to historical challenges confronting African people. Our judiciary is in a state of compromise because the Ramaphosa regime has turned it into instrument of defend their corruption by capturing judges. The political capture of the judiciary through judges must be for vectors of colonial conquest. The EFF sends its well wishes to all matriculants who have recently concluded their examination, especially under difficult conditions of rolling electricity blackouts and unreliable basic education sector. We encourage all matriculants to pursue qualifications in the tertiary sector, namely in universities and technical and youth, to ensure that the country is industrialized and is able to pioneer knowledge production in the continent. From the 3rd of January 2023, the EFF Student Command will be stationed in all campuses across South Africa, embarking on Sizofunda Ngenkani campaign. No student will be excluded from accessing higher study must look for the red T-shirt of the EFF for assistance. The EFF encourages all voters in the Tsobotla local municipality in the Northwest and Mukonto municipality in Mpumalanga to come out in their numbers to vote for the EFF. All 20 wards in the Tsobotla will be going to by-elections along with 5 wards, the people of Ward 11 in Nkomazi, Mpumalanga, Ward 3 in Pokwani in the Northern Cape, Ward 5 in Mahikeng in the Northwest, and Ward 29 in Western Gauteng did when they voted decisively for the EFF. The gains made by the EFF in the year 2022 are commendable, and we salute all ground have festive season characterized by sharing with those who are unfortunate. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Commander-in-Chief. We will now open for a round of questions. I see the SABC, I see newsroom. You'll be number 3.
SABC News. Mr. Malema, how sure are you that the ANC will be voting with their conscience tomorrow regarding continuing with this impeachment process? And is the opposition still speaking in one voice, as COPE is one of those parties that have released a statement saying that they are not in agreement with the calls for the president to be... The removal of President Ramaphosa would cause chaos in the country. Has the EFF considered what the impact of such a removal would be on citizens in this country, and what do you make of that statement?
Newsroom.
Mbali Titani from Newsroom Africa. Just to touch on the impeachment process, we've just seen a statement coming out from Parliament that there will be no secret ballot tomorrow, just your reasons tomorrow for that vote to be carried out. You also previously threatened a nationwide shutdown should Ramaphosa not step aside. Where are you in terms of this nationwide shutdown you previously told us about? You also said in your statement just a short while ago that you will expose Ramaphosa as a money. Exactly when you're saying that you will expose him as a money launderer? Thank you.
No, okay, yes. Could you just get your thoughts on Richard Carland? He has And also, the second question would be, I mean, the FF has said that Ramaphosa's immediate course of action should be resignation. And you have previously said that he must be impeached so that he leaves with nothing. So what exactly would you like to see unfolding? Thank you so much.
Okay. President.
Thank you very much. Vote for the impeachment process to ensure that Ramaphosa lives with nothing. And on the current comment, we feel vindicated by demanding his removal from the panel. And he hasn't wasted time to expose that he is actually inclusion in the panel initially was a give and take type of an arrangement where perhaps when the speaker was constituting a panel, consulted the ANC or the president and they said, okay, to get a balanced thing, just take this man. So it was clearly a deployment. The shutdown is still in the process, but by the look of things, I don't think we'll reach there because the man will go anytime soon. So today, the ANC is meeting. The ANC NWC yesterday resolved that Ramaphosa must step down. Will vote against the impeachment and you can retain your benefits and all of that. So, what is interesting is that the media know that the ANC and NWC agreed that he must step down. You leave the step down thing and then you push the narrative that the ANC is going to vote against the panel's recommendation. The reality is that the ANC has recommended to the NEC that Ramaphosa must step down and members of parliament must vote against the impeachment, which is something we are opposed to. He must step down and he must still be impeached. Stepping down does not mean he must not be impeached. And even during the impeachment, he must still be arrested. He committed crime. He committed corruption. Is fighting as if he has not done anything wrong. If he was someone who was showing remorse, perhaps some of these things will look the other way and say, no, the guy has seen his mistakes and he has accepted. No, it's not. He has actually put the country in a state where we are divided. And to a point where he even had a responsibility to come out, reassure the markets, reassure the nation that things are in order. He abandoned that. He abandoned his accountability in parliament. He went into hiding. It's just that in South Africa, we don't have soldiers. Because in that short space of time, and you see nothing wrong with that. That Archbishop Makgoba sees nothing wrong with that. That Council of Churches sees nothing wrong with that. Where a president disappears for 4 days without trace, without telling the nation what's going to happen. By doing that, the president has effectively and immediately resigned. We don't are insisting on making him something that he says he doesn't want to be. So, Makgoba's utterances are so disingenuous and are not deserving of a man of cloth. If I was a member of the Anglican Church, I would have filed for motion of no confidence on Archbishop Makgoba, who is factional, a president who has admitted that I kept in my house $530,000. What more does Makgoba want? Because the president has said so himself, that he kept $530,000 in his house. Secondly, the president has said, I have not reported the stolen must be reported to the Hawks. The president has admitted that. Makgoba says no, the man must stay. If he goes, there must be government of national unity. You see, Murutu wa Tsotsi maneuvering to protect a criminal. Men of cloth, where are the other pastors who can rise on their own and say, don't say that in our name? Crime is crime. It doesn't matter who committed the crime. The man of cloth must always be on the side of the law, not on the side of criminals. Everybody who was claiming to be clean, Joel Nechitenze, an over-exaggerated intellectual who defends a criminal using tribalism. For the second time now, Ramaphosa said the July unrest was caused by the Zulus. Now Joel comes and says the defenders of the people who demand Ramaphosa to leave are Zulus. What do these two vendor men have against Zulus? Those Zulus, when they are not doing anything, they have not done anything. The man is saying, look at the people who want Cyril to go. All of them come from one province where Zuma comes from. He thinks he's being intellectual as usual. But he's effectively saying, look at all these people are Zulus. Why is Joel and Cyril being allowed to constitution? Why is Cyril the man who were told is the one who drafted the constitution? Not being the first one to defend the same constitution he drafted, the so-called best constitution in the country, in the world. So, I am happy that this moment has come to show to all of you that the road is not Zuma. As the EFF, we are very happy that the secret ballot is not provided. Nkosazana spoke on TV and said Cyril must go. Lindiwe Sisulu spoke on TV and said Cyril must go. Supra spoke and said Cyril must go. Tomorrow, let them go, and tomorrow, let's see if they meant what they were saying on TV. Secret ballot for what? If they are for the constitution, if they are for the rule of law, and they are not for the men, let tomorrow South Africa see who is on the side of the constitution and who is on the side of an individual. We are happy with the decision of the speaker not to grant the secret ballot. There are cameras in front of them. They must raise hands, seated next to the man, seated next to their own colleagues, and say, my conscience doesn't allow. And they must remember this. They are highly protected. Because the Constitutional Court said, members of parliament must vote according to their conscience, not representatives of the people of South Africa. So tomorrow, we are going to separate women from girls, boys from men. Let's go and see if all these things they were saying on national TV and Twitters and all of that, they will dare repeat it where it matters the most, tomorrow in Busasa. And there is no way Gwede will not defend Cyril, because he knows that if Cyril goes, he too goes, and he doesn't just go, he goes to prison. And the EFF will make sure that Gwede goes to prison. Because from now onwards, we are going to write to the NPA privately through private prosecution. We don't understand why Gwede is not arrested until now. When there is clear evidence and undisputed again by Gwede himself. So we are going to pursue private prosecution for all those Busasa people and digital vibes. Even when the material evidence doesn't indicate anything for a man's involvement. Nothing. Right? There are people who are not disputing Nomvula Mkonyane ate the chickens. She had never disputed to have eaten the chickens from Busasa. Gwede Mantashe has never disputed that cameras were installed at this place. All of these people, they've got no defense, nothing. But you never mention them who want to remove Cyril. A criminal. Gwede, a criminal. Fighting criminals. So it can't be correct. Stop being factional and be factual. The reality is that the digital vibes, evidence, is not all. Now, why are we being told here that DD can't be president of South Africa, that we must go to elections because we must avoid DD? DD is our deputy president as we speak. Are we saying that the office of the deputy president is useless to a of DD? The reality is that DD is not captured by the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts and all of them. And because they don't have the thinking thought of DD Mabuza, they project him as a criminal. I've said it here many times, that we were told DD is ever proven by anyone, not even prima facie evidence produced against DD. You are saying we must be scared of a man who's there's no evidence against, and cherish a man who has committed crime and we've got overwhelming evidence. This hypongering, the scaremongering that we're having around DD, it is because the establishment has got no total control over DD. That's what we're suffering from. If DD is a murderer, why did your clean president appoint a murderer as a deputy? If your president is so clean and he has won election on an anti-corruption ticket, why did he appoint DD as a deputy president if DD is corrupt? If DD is all these things that you are telling us, why did your clean president appoint him? There's nothing wrong with it. It's unavoidable. We are likely to eat beetroots Christmas Day with DD as a president. As you are having your 7 colors, DD will be delivering a Christmas message. So this scaremongering will not work because there are no facts, none whatsoever, against DD. They just paint a man like that and leave him with a dark cloud. The man said, listen to the man of integrity. Listen to the man of integrity. DD said to the ANC, NEC, if I'm corrupt, if I'm a murderer, do not appoint me as deputy president. SG, it took time for DD to be sworn in as a member of parliament. He refused. He said, he even went to the ethics committee of the ANC and said, charge me. What have I done? Only a man of integrity, a man of ethical leadership will do that. Did he stay at Lituli House? Why did they insist on appointing him? Where was Gwede, the clean Gwede, to stop DD from being sworn in? Where was Makhoba? Where was South African Council of Churches? Where were all these so clean people? Why? The fact that DD is a deputy president of this country, it means he meets all the requirements to be the president. And nothing will stop him from being the president except the ANC itself, not this scaremongering. There is no any election that is by the Oppenheimers, all of them. Makhoba, DA, Herman Mashaba. They all read from the same script. Dissolve the government, go to an early election. You know why? Because Oppenheimer is the only person who's allowed to finance political parties in South Africa. He will give money to the DA, he will give money, gives political parties money, no one questions him, no one closes his bank accounts. But if a businessman was to finance the EFF and declare it publicly, he will have his bank account closed. Why? Because he financed how to disagree. Everyone who disagreed in South Africa, their banks are closed, bank accounts are closed. Here is a money launderer here, who has admitted to have kept cash in his home. Did ABSA close his bank account? Did FNB close? The banks have closed their accounts. Why are the Ramaphosa's bank accounts not closed? Ramaphosa's son admitted to have taken money from Busasa. His bank account is not closed. Why? Because he doesn't hold a different political opinion. In South Africa, you hold a different. That's why we are calling for the black ownership of the banks. Look at the banks. All black managers, DP, senior managers, are treated with suspicion. There's no senior bank manager in South Africa was not treated with a suspicion and with disregard. Look black. Because the impression is that when you are black, you are inherently incapacitated and corrupt. Black management of the African bank, turning that bank around, declaring profits. We're not saying African bank is transformed because they still do not finance the right direction. But I can tell you that if you go to African bank, Standard Bank or ABSA, any black manager is treated with suspicion. We have Standard Bank, very senior black managers there, treated with suspicion, always people casting aspersions on them because the bank accounts still open, despite the fact that they've all admitted to have taken dirty money and corrupt money. If you are a member of the EFF, you are still banking with banks like ABSA or FNB. You are self-defeating. You are financing an anti-revolution. ABSA and FNB are at the center of anti-revolution. That as the EFF, we must fight tooth and nail to have a state-owned bank to have a decisive intervention in the economy. I don't know which COPE statement, because I tried to call SG in the morning to check, or is it Madisha COPE or Terra COPE? From where we are sitting, COPE is confirmed. Remember, guys, we were together at the Public Protector's office with COPE. So I don't understand what statement COPE released, because from where we're sitting, we're together with COPE. They are a bunch of corrupt people who have got no regard for the laws of South Africa. They've got no regard for the laws of South Africa. So the numbers look good. From where we're sitting, we've got no doubt. If the DA stop somersaulting and comes clear and says we're voting for the panel's report, all of the, not gone to the media, but have expressed it clearly to us, the numbers look proper. The report will be adopted tomorrow. The only thing these people of the ANC are amenable to, which is a problem to us, is that men insist he's going to be shocked tomorrow. For the sake of the unity of the ANC, if he loves the ANC, the best thing will be to resign so that the ANC speaks in one voice. But if the man doesn't resign, tomorrow, through show of hands, the ANC people are going to vote with us. Our worry is not this and that. Remember, the DA did not submit anything to the Section 89 panel. And when the results were being announced, when the report was handed over, Steinhazen said he's giving an educated guess. How can you give an educated guess when you're not educated? You know, illiterate people like throwing around some words they don't even understand what it is. They are highly, highly conflicted because the poster boy of their handlers has been found wanting. Once the DA comes, we're done. But even if the DA doesn't come, the people of South Africa will see the DA for what it is. South Africa. What else? Huh?
Thank you very much, Commander-in-Chief. We'll take the last round of hands for questions in the EFF press conference. We'll welcome those journalists who are late of hands. So if there are any questions, you can take them now, forever hold your peace. Number one.
Okay.
Okay. So you'll be number 4, you'll be number 5.
You can
Yeah.
start there if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, Mr. Malema. Thank you. Obviously, you
Please
know,
state your name and publication.
sorry. Oh yeah, John Eligar with the New York Times. Thank you. Can you speak to, you know, what you see if the ANC does go forward with saying that they will not vote to adopt this resolution? What about to renew itself and fight against corruption? Thank you.
My brother in the red. Yeah.
My name is Lunga from The Citizen. Mr. Malema, firstly, the party stance on women. We've seen what you said, Judge Maya. You recommending that she should be president, or she should be the Constitutional Court judge. I just want to find out from you, if in the next conference, the EFF conference, you and your deputy had to be challenged by both women, would you, either of you, consider maybe letting them lead the party? Thank you.
Mr. Malema, on your remarks about the army, are you actually calling on the army to rise up and take over government in the event, like say in future, the government goes, the president, goes AWOL and doesn't take the nation into its confidence regarding whatever crisis it may be experiencing? Are you actually calling for the army, irrespective of which government will be in?
From Newsroom Africa, Mr. Malema, I think you forgot to answer my last question about you saying you will expose Ramaphosa as a money launderer. But my other question to you, it's the ANC conference in just a few weeks' time with this Phala farm issue. Who do you think will emerge as the ANC president who has been killed, and you are also friends with her boyfriend? Just your reaction in terms of that crime that took place. Thank you very much.
CBC.
Okay, Mr. Malema, just clarity on the DA. As when you've sat in the forum for opposition parties, what was their stance on this matter, and have you engaged a sizable number that you will?
Thank you very much, President.
Thank you very much. Well, the ANC, if it votes against the panel's recommendation tomorrow, it will be showing the Constitution a middle finger. It's as simple as that. A party that is led by a person who claims to have been a drafter of the same Constitution. It will be very clear. If the decisions do not favor them, they disregard the Constitution. And they only love the Constitution if the decision favors them. In the EFF, we are led now by 3 women, which is driven by the desire to satisfy one's ego, because it's about women leadership. If you understand the issues of feminism and gender equality, it's not necessarily married to a particular position. We're in less than 10 years, we're the only party actually with more females representation in parliament. So our conferences are constituted by than men, and our membership in the majority of the EFF has got a potential not only to produce the first female president of its own, but the first female president for the country, because we are extremely committed to that issue, and where we are found wanting, we immediately make an intervention. I think you are in a wrong press conference. Perhaps you should have asked that, of all the candidates, and there's no candidate for president of or deputy president or anything of that sort of a female. So in the EFF, that issue doesn't arise, Shem. We have sorted it out. Right from the formation of the EFF, if you go into that this matter has been resolved. The army has got a responsibility to protect the Constitution. If the political leadership is found wanting and is acting against the Constitution, they've got the entire responsibility to defend it. They have a responsibility to defend the country. We're leaderless. And once such vacuum arises, we're going to be led by thugs. We'll just have a gangster who's going to call a press conference at the SABC and say, we're done. I'm in charge now. No work tomorrow. So the army too has got a responsibility to go to him and tell him that you must not play games with us. You can't do that. If it thinks it can play with the people of South Africa, there are levels within which this country will be defended. So we're not going to have a president who thinks that he can do as he pleases. The man is gone. And the army should have gone to tell him, or in parliament, you've abandoned your press conference, you plugged the country into crisis, and therefore do the formalities of announcing, but in reality, you're gone. Well, let's leave the ANC conference to the ANC branches to deal with their own internal matters. I think there is no one, not a single one of them who will save this country from the mess we are subjected to from the ANC. So let's leave it to the branches of the ANC to deal with it. Kyle's woman died, the girlfriend. I was reading, like everybody else, that she committed, spoken to Kyle. But yeah, I knew her very well. We were friends with Maya. She was a very lovely lady, forward-looking. She had a very good plans for the country, that she can kill herself, you know. But you'll never know, because she never came across to me as the type that had the potential to kill herself. She spoke her mind openly, without fear, and insurmountable problems which will warrant killing yourself or killing each other. I don't think there was any sign of that sort. So it was a shock. It's not only Maya who died. I think another friend of ours, Martin, who, of cancer. So you can imagine that what the guys are going through now. They've lost two close people, very close to their heart, and it's a very difficult period for them. And we can only wish them strength and wish the families strength, and wish that. But it's an interesting thing of Maya, because the police have opened an inquest, so we should be able to get closure, because those of us who knew her were like, what happened now? And we'll need those answers. But rest assured us that they are still part of the forum. And we asked General Olomisa to speak to them on the motion of no confidence, and not on the voting of the panel, because they were related. That statement which we released of the forum, and the DA commented on the statement, saying change here, change there. Generally, they were happy with the statement, but they don't inspire confidence. Their leader, when he speaks, everything else will be revealed tomorrow. We'll know who stands where. I think we even have a press conference tomorrow of opposition parties at 10. I said to you, inclusive of the DA, we don't see any problems. And we really want to caution the people who are attacking Chief Justice Ngobo. He didn't say anything, the old man Shem. He just said there is a prima facie, he's guilty or anything of that sort. He never said that. So to attack him, to even look for the value of his watch, that the 150,000 Rolex watch was stolen from him, and that's a sign of sitting at home, doing nothing, busy with his retirement. They went to fetch him. Come and check here for us if there is a case to answer. He came, he did his job, it's done. And what is worse is that it's really unfair. And to have women in the form of Feriel Hafaji, who claim to stand for women, are taking a female advocate for doing her job. That advocate, tag of that lady, she had all the time under the sun to object her inclusion in the panel, like we did. We didn't question people's characters after the results. Independent. We objected, we fought to a point where he got excluded. What stopped Ferrier from writing a letter to the speaker and challenge the advocate? Only to wait for the results. When they are not favorable, she attacks the so-called feminist voices. The so-called women's organizations have gone mum on the attack of a female by another female. It's wrong. It's wrong to an end. What if she held a different view and she was persuaded otherwise? So the desperation to want to isolate members of the panel is uncalled for. That panel was appointed by Parliament. They never asked, they never applied. You will say, no, maybe the EFF nominated her, that's why she behaved the way she did. No. She owes the women of this country an apology for real. She owes the profession an apology. She owes women advocates, and advocates cannot be trusted. And if they are not going to defend their profession, they will have themselves to blame. They must not allow Ferrier or anyone to attack their profession. If they do so, they will delegitimize the advocates, African female advocates. It's very difficult. Here it's a female advocate who gets an opportunity to rise and demonstrate the capacity of African females. What happens? She gets isolated and attacked. Deeper than that, and knowing Ferrier as an advocate of the, as a journalist of the establishment, she will go to town to destroy any potential African. It has been her job as a journalist. So she must play very far from that woman. She has got Nali in all respect. So she's no match to advocate Sello. And she must never do that. The less said about Madonsela, the stellar institution in this country. Yet she's nothing. So we have no time for such people. We will defend this panel report. We will defend it in public. We will defend it in Parliament. We will defend it in the courts. You are not taking the panel to court because the panel has ceased to exist. So Ramaphosa is taking Parliament to court. The president is taking Parliament to court because the fact over to Parliament, the speaker has received it. It's now a report of Parliament which is going to be tabled. If you want anyone to answer, it's Parliament. Justice Ngobo must not even waste his time going around going to do a video of the EFF to court without taking the EFF to court. That panel, it's a panel of Parliament. The first respondent is Parliament. Ramaphosa is taking Parliament to court. The President of the Republic of South Africa is taking Parliament to court. That's what it is, effectively. Who takes his own Parliament to court must still stay. South Africa, we are being tested here. And the only solution is 2024. It's not this thing that the DA is speaking about of early elections. Oppenheimer's and Herman Mashaba's man of Oppenheimer's. The rest of us won't even see the light of the day. The only thing that is going to take the ANC out of power is well-prepared election. Not rush to get yet another opportunity to see if they enjoy corruption or they want a clean government. Because South Africans must also stop behaving like victims here. They too have got a weapon in their hands, and that weapon is a cross. And that cross must not be rushed out for 2024 and take over this government. We've got more than 1 million members. Anyone who's got numbers of Eusebius who said he doesn't see the, if he's got time, he can come and check it. Yeah, we'll give him access to verify it. He was saying there is no campaign of the EFF 1 million members. You can't see it anyway. The doomsayers. They are eating a humble pie now. Going to take over this country come 2024. We are the only solution to the crisis confronting the people of South Africa. And if you are sleeping on us, South Africa, then you will have yourself to blame. Here it's a party, here is the alternative, which has been holding the ANC tried to smear its leadership. They failed at every turn because this leadership is the cleanest leadership this country has ever produced. And this leadership can be trusted by the people of South Africa and the people of the continent to deliver economic freedom. Will go or will not go, he's gone. He's gone. Even if he insists on sitting, he will be the most useless president who will not enjoy the respect of those who oppose Zuma. And those who are opposing Ramaphosa today should have come together and said, this we don't agree with. We don't care who has done that. So, one. We don't say because this person is accused by criminals themselves of crime, we must not believe these criminals because we trust this one's as crime. We don't care whether Ramaphosa is accused by Batabile Dlamini or by Malusi Gigaba or whoever who was accused of crime before. Those who are accusing him of crime do not matter. So do not sidetrack us about, hey, criminals want to remove Ramaphosa. Criminals want to remove criminal. It must be removed by other criminals. It must not be removed even if it's a criminal. That logic doesn't make sense. Stellenbosch has reached a ceiling. It can't think anymore. The thinking tanks can't produce ideas anymore. That's why they are using the emperor is naked. Matthew Posa, I called him this morning, I couldn't find him. You must know me, when I disagree with you, I call you before. He was fly, or jealousy of DD. Must leave it. Because he can't go and defend crime on the basis that he doesn't like DD. That his fight with DD makes him so blind. But this thing that he doesn't like DD is the one that makes him now to want to defend wrong things because he's scared DD is going to come in. If go and fight your personal battles with DD there, we're not party to that. They are suing each other there. He can't now come and want to defend crime. He was in the forefront, Matthew, of demanding that the most likely person to come in is the someone you don't like. And because you don't like the possible candidate, you defend a criminal. Stop it, South Africa. Remember, he might be receiving other things outside receiving the tithe. That bishop of Anglican, there's something there fishy. There's no man that must check on it. We call on real religious leaders and pastors to stand up and fight corruption and disagree with the defense of corruption by the Council of Churches. Where are they? They are all quiet. You know why? All of them sit in the boards of Rupert's and the Oppenheimers. How do you have so old people still being board members? They are driven by business. That's why they can't say anything, because the emperor is naked. The favorite of the establishment is exposed. They are found wanting. We are never found wanting. We are consistent in the defense of a clean governance. It must be occupied by someone with integrity. There's nothing personal there. Personally, we may like Ramaphosa, but when it comes to leadership and ethical leadership, we don't think he's the right person. Against the panel, will meet in court. There's no parliament which is going to reject that panel. We'll meet in court. And the money launderer, why do you ask me how are you going to expose the money launderer? We're already exposing the money launderer now. Process, the impeachment process to start. It's going to be very interesting. That in Ndlovu, they said he took $530,000. Ndlovu, a man who looked very innocent. They are going to come there and explain what happened proper, without any problem. And it will be the complete opposite of what Ramaphosa is saying. Ndlovu, when he arrives there, he finds parliament. Or and then we're no take an oath in Ndlovu. Yeah. What happened in Ndlovu? He will tell us everything. The whole operation, how it unfolded. Ndlovu is going to tell us the opposite. I don't think Cyril wants that. That domestic worker is going to tell us the opposite. Two of the people who were involved in that crime were, 2 are down already. And the media is not writing anything about it. They have that information, they know it. 2 of the Pala participants have died, killed. We hope Ndlovu will leave domestic workers or put them here and ask them simple question. Ndlovu, le jere tšhelete kae? Ar mang? Na ga je tšhelete. Bejani. Na le munno mongwe ba re ke Bejani. And I don't think Cyril wants that day. I don't think the ANC wants that day. The generals are even worse. They claim, they pretend like they know the law. But as you go with them, leave the police, we'll expose them. We are not going to expose the domestic workers because there will not be too much work to do. Just being called to parliament. Or Ndlovu, ba le bitša parlamente. Yo. Batlo mmoja tsa maha. Le fitele bolele nnete kana mo. Let's wait for that day where those domestic workers are going to tell us the truth. How can a safe domestic workers have access to the safe? Domestic workers that keep the safe is the key or the pin. When they give you the key of the safe, there are only 2. You keep one with yourself, the other one you put it safe so that when you lose this one, you have an alternative. The pin, you put the old pin and press the long press on hash, on the hashtag, and then you change that pin and create a new one. Why? What type of an explanation is that? Where Ramaphosa can just take the keys. If everybody has got access, lock the place, take the keys, and leave. No, everybody has access. If everybody knows the pin, it's not true that people have got access to the safe. It's not true that people know the pin. Because Ndlovu, afika kwa parliament, Ndlovu, what is the pin code of that safe? His workers know the pin of the safe. There was no money in the safe. The money was taken from Johannesburg in a couch from here, in a truck, driven special to the farm. The more he speaks, the more exposed he becomes because he lies. He's lying. He keeps on lying and lying. So, South Africa, if you are going to believe the couch, because it's not safe in the safe, it's safe in the couch. We're being taken for a ride here. He thinks we're all fools like him. If he has managed to fool ANC people, who's your favorite, that is a liar. And the police commissioner is going to be exposed, and that chief bodyguard of his is already singing. So it's a waste of time. Let them come there. We want this nonsense of saying he did not steal our money, it is his money. They stole his money, he didn't steal our money. He stole our money. We have shares in those dollars so that it's an income, he can pay income tax. So we have our portion in the dollars there. He stole our money, it's our money. He brings money here, he doesn't pay exchange rate. It was driven on which road? It landed at which airport? Who's paying for that airport? It was driven on which road? It stopped at which rob of money. He was hiding our tax. And when you hide our tax, you are stealing from us. Therefore, he stole from us. We have interest. We want our money. Doesn't arise. It's our money too. Once it lands here, it must be declared so that we can take our portion. So, tomorrow in Parliament, we call on all members of Parliament to do the right thing. Tomorrow's vote is the vote for the Constitution. Tomorrow's vote is for the vote of that signature of Nelson Mandela that he attached in 1996. Any president who behaves in a criminal manner must be subjected to impeachment process. They were not crazy when they said that. So let's not doubt the founders of this Constitution. That you are the one who inserted this section in the Constitution. And today, that section demands of us to hold you accountable. Parliament must know that the Constitutional Court, the President, accountable. Let's not repeat the same mistake. Tomorrow, let's vote with our conscience, not with the party mandate. I thank you.
It's the EFF press briefing. Thank you very much.
TC.